guys, welcome to the channel and welcome Elizabeth, who is my first guest ever. Hello. And thanks everybody for coming. I see we have quite the full house and I appreciate it, especially on a midweek. I don't know. Do you want to introduce yourself, Elizabeth, to anyone who doesn't know you?
Greetings, everyone. This is Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us today. I'm excited. I didn't realize I was your first guest.
Yep, ever. Well,
Now,
it's funny
now
because
the
I was
pressure's on. Oh my gosh.
no, I was talking to Delise at Stamper Girl, and she was like, "Why didn't you invite me?" So she's coming next weekend or next week. So I don't know.
Awesome.
It's fun though. I love how I like crafting with other people. It's just so much more interesting than like I feel like if you're doing it on your own, it always turns into some kind of weird class that you didn't have a lesson plan for. But you know.
Right.
Oh, and Gaz
But
is here. Welcome.
yes, lots of crafty friends. PJB Stamper, the Crafty Visit, Shoes and Trimper, Jean
Oh wow.
Morin, handcrafted by Gaz. Hello, hello. JC Crafty Cash, Kinsey Kraken. Hello, hello. Some names I'm not familiar with, so that's always fun. Mommy Guide and Crystal's Creations Wyckoff. Yeah, exciting. We have handcrafted by Gaz says, I can't wait to see this because I just got my stamp wheel today. We'll pull it out. Let's stamp wheel along.
Yeah, because
So
you're not new with it, but I'm quite new. So if you want to give us a crash course, that'd be awesome.
yeah, so I just have the stamp wheel. A dear friend Deborah bought it for me as a gift, and I'm telling you, I'm in love with the thing. Jay, as you saw over there, has the guides for it, so you can actually center your project and get some perfect wreaths on your cardstock.
And I think I'll have to
Those
like write Sharpies on this because like you can see what they say, but like I don't know. I'm gonna definitely Sharpie these up at some point.
but yeah, the guides are on my wish list, but you do not need them in order to make a good wreath. Just know that you may have to either trim or do some creative planning. And by that, if you guys know Mr. Simon Hurley, he's actually marked his with Sharpie. The Sharpie does stay pretty good. These are basically alcohol markers, Sharpies. It's stained, but it does not eliminate the stick, so that's okay. But he's got his center marked out, and so he can put his paper in exactly where it needs to go every single time. I'm an eyeballer, so I just put my paper wherever the heck I want, just like so. And then we get some stuff going. The reason I bought the stamp wheel was to make wreaths. I do like making wreaths. I never did get into the other types of wreaths, like the turnabouts and stuff. So this was really appealing to me. There's not afraid of colors in the house too. Hello, hello, T.
Hi T.
But so because of the stamp wheel and its easiness, one, the lid, right? It's not a hinge or anything. You can lift it, flip it, do all the things, and twist it about to get your stamping done. And we're going to show how to do that. So we've got some small stamps. It can be small, medium, large, whatever you're feeling. I am using scrapbook.com's Cozy Sentiments and Critters because I thought it would be fun to put a critter in the center.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So again, I'm an eyeballer, so I'm just gonna eyeball center for this little critter. I put it straight on the paper. I have seen people put the image, so there's guides on this, so you could literally put this on the center of your stamp wheel like so, then flip it
Oh, that's cool.
and have it in the center, which actually looks pretty darn good. So we're gonna go with that. And then you can flip it, set it down. Your hands are free, just like having the hinge, although, you know, usually I'm holding the hinge open with my other hand. So then my hands are free. I can ink. Okay. And then we're going to flip, set it in the grooves. And I like to go in at an angle so it catches, and then set it down and press. Just like you're hinged. You don't have to shove a lot of pressure. There's very, very good spacing in there. So you just give a little press and then a lift. And then you have your perfectly stamped image. And if it wasn't perfectly stamped, we would just ink them up again. We would flip. Again, if you catch it in the nooks and then set her down, you're going to get a perfect second impression. No double lines, just like using your hinged apparatus.
Yeah, the thing that blew my mind was, well, I'll do this and get myself in trouble probably, but like if you're not lined up, right, there's ink on the bottom of the stamp, like that didn't get ink anywhere. So like if you're not lined up, it is not going to mess it up, which I thought was pretty cool.
Right.
Because I've had lots of Missy related accidents.
And one thing I would recommend as you're using your stamp wheel is know the top. Jay's and mine both have a hole in there. Some people put little gems on there. You could put a little piece of washi on there. Anything to know the top. That way there, when you go to flip, you know, and I kind of twisted it. Oh, nope, that needs to go to the top. And I can get that right back in the top, turn it and set it and press it. So knowing your starting point is very important, especially when you're doing wreaths and turnabout designs. Now, this is another nice feature. I have flipped my lid over so the stamp is right on top. I'm grabbing my water and I'm spraying. My paper is nice and safe underneath the lid. It's not going to get wet. So unlike the hinged, you know, you got to make sure your card's covered and you clean the lid. Once you flip this, it's sealed under there, so you don't have to worry about it getting wet. So we can clean our stamp. Okay. Ugh. And I'm going to put this back at the top, but I'm going to kind of decide how I want my wreath to look. I want to have some flowers and then do some leafery in there. So I'm going to start with one of my flowers first. And I'm going to start with it being right at the top. You can start anywhere you like. Okay. We're going to grab our dot and make sure it's at the very top. We're going to click it into place, set it down, pick up our stamp. You can definitely use your guides just like we did with the fox. We could use the guide and set our images around the center if you like. But I like to eyeball. I'm an eyeballer. So,
actually, as I recall, like depending on the size of your image, you can figure out like how many petals you have to go in whatever direction you're going.
Right.
Like to figure out how to not overlap them, unless you want to overlap them, which I mean, that's fine too.
Lightly overlapping will just help it fill in depending on your design. I changed my mind. I'm going to do my flowers in color. So I'm getting out some prom queen here. Okay, let me get my little thing. My fingers. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my first one inked up. I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to make sure my dot is at the top because that's my starting point. And then I'm going to click it, set it, and press it. Lift and look. And you can decide if you need another go round with the inking color or if you're happy with that. Okay. So I'm going to flip it, set it, hands free, and inker up again. Now, for me, I like to divide my wreath into 4 quadrants, north, east, west, and south, right? So I'm going to take my dot from the top and flip it completely in a 90 degree, I think is what that's called. So you basically made an L with it, and then I'll flip it. Oops. Oh, okay. And then I'll lock it into place and press.
Oh, that makes sense. And then you have sort of like compass rose points to like figure out your other stuff from.
Right. Okay. And then I can lift, flip, hands free again. Then we're going to inker them up again. And then we're going to flip and twist it again, that 90 degrees. So I'm actually putting my dot in the center of the white spaces. So I'm going to click it into place and set her down. And there's that. And then you can definitely see mine is a little off because the flowers are kind of going this way, but I'll adjust my wreath afterwards. And then we're going to ink that up. And even though my dot is way over here, I know that I need to bring it over here into the center over here, click it and lock it. Now, this is where the guides that Jay has comes in handy, because mine is off-centered. So I'll be trimming this chunk down, and that doesn't bother me. But if you want it perfectly centered, you can find the center of your paper, set it so that it matches the center of your wheel, or you can get the little guides or make your own little guide to get it centered. But again, that doesn't bother me because I'm crooked. It's okay.
Well, we were saying beforehand, like, I think half the time if I did something like this intricate, I'd probably cut it out anyway.
Right. Yes, and that's the fun thing, you know, like Jay was saying when we were chatting, you could drop a circle die over that, a square die over that, anything you want. I'm going to change up my color, but I'm going to leave the same flower, okay? So I'm going to grab an orange. We're going to use some Roar, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up.
I do like how this like top plate thing makes it more like a floating hinge, so you're not like, you don't have that weirdness of like I'm trying to stamp in and I'm hitting it sort of kitty corner.
So yeah, I've taken my notch from the top and moved it over one, and my flowers are way overlapped. So if I move it a second notch, then they're side by side. So I'm gonna go around the circle this time, putting my notch in the corners. So I'm gonna flip and set my notch in the corner. So now I have my little orange flower going there. And then again, I'm going to take my top starting point and I'm going to put it in that corner. Easy. This is one thing I love about this, because once you get the hang of the flip, it's like you just move along. Flip.
I think it's actually easier in my brain because it's like you flip and then you flip back and then you're back where you started.
Right. So there's,
it probably like doesn't make sense for anyone listening to this, but like I feel like I get way more confused with sort of the door system sometimes, because it's sort of like whether or not I have things right side up or not.
right.
I mean, that's sort of a thing I have difficulty Generally with words, but
Yeah, because so with the hinge, it's away from your paper, and you got to say, oh, I need to ink like this area, and you're trying to decipher, is that area here or there? And then you're closing your lid trying to figure out. Yeah, I totally get lost sometimes with that too. Okay, and now we're going to take a lighter color. I'm actually going to remove my flower from the lid because I want to make sure that it's up, but between my flowers. So I'm going to adjust it a little bit instead of continuing along. I just want it up just a little bit with a little bit of overlapping. But I'm going to start again with my dot at the top so I know where I'm at. I'm going to grab that, and then we're going to get a nice yellow, nice bright yellow for my friends out there. Shooting star is up.
I sense Pam will be happy with that.
Yes. Okay, so I've got my dot at the top. I've locked it at the base, and then I set it down and I give a little press, and it's so pretty. So then this
It
time
actually worked.
Yeah, check you out. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And see how his guide helped him get it right, perfect, dead center in that card. That's awesome.
And what were you saying is like, if you have the ability to cut stencils, like you could probably figure out what these measurements are. But,
right.
If I was doing it without the guide, I probably would maybe cut like 6 by 6 and just like realize that I'd have to trim a bunch of it down.
Yeah, that would be me. Okay, so now I'm going to take and spin the wheel around until those flowers fall in to place. And it's nice because you've got your little notches. So if the one notch doesn't fit, you can try the next notch.
Yeah, I was doing that. Like, it's surprisingly easy to sort of spin it around and figure that out.
But if you pay a little bit more attention, you can, like, I'm hitting the corners for sure, but it's this other one. I'm not quite sure. Nope. Back up. Center and corner. That's where I'm going. So my dot's going into the center. And changing up colors makes it really easy too.
Yeah, I saw people who were like really good at it. Like if you know how your wreath is going to lay out, you could do like multiple colors and stamps at once. And then my brain kind of exploded at that idea, but
Yeah, I tried that once to do multiple things at once, and I just found it's way faster for me just to do one at a time and go from there.
I mean, it seems like it must be, I don't know, it seems easier to understand in your head.
Right.
If you do like, hey, I'm doing yellow lemons now, and I can figure that out and then go from there.
Right. So the purple and the I say purple. It's supposed to be pink. It's my special color because I messed up my prom queen color and put a different color on it when I re-inked it, messed it all up. But so the purple and the orange were on the stamp wheel in the same spot, and then I moved the flower just to adjust the yellow one a little bit, and that was there. So now when I go to trim this, I'll just come over here and trim this so it cuts in a little bit more. And then we can go through and add more stuff. Oops, get off of there. So if you want to add some leaves. So I'm going to clean this. I'm going to set this right back up on top. Give a squirt. Oops, a little too much water there. And a wipe. Okay. And we can put our flower away. And then we can come in with a leaf.
Oh, that's cool.
happy with that leaf. Let me find another leaf. One kind of big.
I do like the yellow and the red together. That looks really cute.
Yes. And I don't have a smaller leaf. I do have leaves somewhere, but if I was a leaf, where would I be?
I don't know. I always have difficulty with like the small stamps and like them just getting lost or landing on getting stored with the wrong stamp set.
Yeah, I was hoping for a smaller leaf, but it looks like that is the only one I have right now. I should have planned a little bit better, but I was thinking, where is the other stamp set? That is weird.
I'm just surprised how easy it is to like look through this and actually like know what you're gonna do before you do it.
Yeah, it is definitely fun. Okay, I do not have any leaves on this one. But
Pam
you know
says
what?
hanging on a tree. I guess that would be the place for a leaf.
Yes, it would. Handcrafted by God says, I'm loving the wreaths. T says she has a video doing layered stamps with it, 4 layers. Yeah, it's really fun doing layered stamps with this doohickey too.
I really liked it. Like I had a lot of trouble with the door systems and layered stamps because like with the magnets and the door and the things, like it was really easy for stuff to like move around on me.
Yeah.
But I did layered stamps yesterday, I think, using this or a couple days ago, and I was sort of like, this really is. It's really nice because if you have your paper in one of the corners, you basically can like use the 4 quadrants to just layer up however many layers you want.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for those, I don't know. I'm sure stamps in my future where those all the floral stamps I don't use right now because they have too many layers.
Yeah, once you start using the layers, you're gonna be getting to them more often. Okay, we're doing corner and center again.
Well, I think that's true of so much stuff, right? It's like if you feel like you can be successful at it, you're a lot more likely to try it. Where if it's like, well, maybe I have a 10% odds of this working out, you get a little less motivated.
And that's true of pretty much any tool. Once you know your tool and you're comfortable with it, you feel obligated to go back and do more because it's exciting and like it's doing what you need it to do. That's key. And Altenew did a good job with the stamp wheel, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because it's not often the things that let you do reads are like a separate piece for you to lose. I do kind of like that it's all incorporated. Right. Like this wheel is far too bulky to actually lose somewhere.
Yes. And you can use anything with it. Where some of those other kits, you have to you're stuck using what they have.
That makes sense.
But here we're using, I'm using scrapbook.com flowers, and I just added another ring of flowers. Just easy peasy. If we had smaller leaves, you could go in and stick some leaves in there and stuff. And then this is the next best thing. You peel it off and it's not all wrinkly and bumpy. So there's
definitely a perk. Well, and I was curious, like, if you'd be able to stamp at the top, because I didn't realize that, like, the wheel actually sets in. I mean, that was probably just my own, like, mental hang up, but, like, It seems like you can actually use the whole sticky area, you know?
Yes. And you can use the whole, so, you know, the stamp wheel is expensive, but you can also just purchase the grid mat too. So if you have your paper and
Cleans up pretty decent though.
yes, it does.
I mean,
so
these are dye inks, but you know,
you can purchase just the grid mat, which comes in handy if you're doing stenciling and stuff. Which let me
that makes sense.
Stencil really quick.
I should grab one because I haven't actually tried stenciling on this thing.
Oh, really? Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. If you're using the Simon Hurley stencils, there is a coating on it. I'll go ahead and use this one, I think. I'll do a layered one. Because why not? He's got video of a layered one. So, I always forget which side. Shiny side down. Because the matte side peels, I think. I don't know.
I believe
so
that's correct.
If you're a big stenciler and you like the idea of your stencil and matte not moving around, look at that. That's, oops, I just made my whole thing go. But let's do a green because I love green. Let's do Minty Fresh. I haven't used that in a while. Where are you, Minty Fresh? Minty Fresh, Minty Fresh. And because it acts like it's a photopolymer stamp. It's a big piece of photopolymer stamp. So it's sticky. It holds things in place. You can layer up your inks really, really deeply. And with a breeze, you have stencil done. Now, I pushed too hard with my brush and got some extra ink in there, but that's all right. And then we're going to take Minty Fresh. Let's do some sidewalk chalk because they go together good. And then we're going to place our second stencil down, shiny side down. We're going to line it up like you're supposed to. Press. No tape, no nothing. And we've got our, let me see what color sidewalk chalk is going to be. I think this one. Try not to get over inking. So the little bleeding spots happens when you oversaturate the paper and then shove it, which I'm a heavy inker. So
yeah, same.
If that happens, it just means to back up a little bit. Maybe not load up your brush too much and slowly go in and add your color. So I've got sidewalk chalk and Minty Fresh, and just that quick, I have inked an entire background.
Wow.
With our little sticky mat. And then we can peel, and it's, it's a little bend, but it's paper, so it'll bend back. And that's it. It's good. It's gold. It's golden. And then when you're done using your stick mat on the table, I'm not sure how they come if you buy them just like this. I'm sure you can put it back in the plastic, but I just put mine right back into the stamp wheel, drop it in, and I am ready to go again to use it as a stamp wheel. So let's see if we have any questions. Let me scroll up.
I haven't seen any Pam exclamation points. I see in you. I'm curious if these are. This has a number on one side. I'll assume this is the shiny side. I thought it would be fun to do a little geometric.
So Mommy Guide says awesome wreath, JNECR. Mommy Guy says, I do have all the Misty sizes, but the stamp wheel for me is easier and more functional to use. The only issue I have with it is storage. It does take up a bit of space. And she is right. This thing is, let me grab thy trusty ruler. So you're looking at 11 by 11. The floor, the little petals stick out 11 to 11, but the actual base is 9 by 9. Okay.
It is lighter than you'd think it would be, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
That was surprising to me. Like, I assumed this would be heavier than a Misty because it looks bigger, but it actually wasn't.
But yeah, so for me, I actually have room. I set it on my printer. I have it sitting on my printer, and then I can pull it out anytime I want because my printer's right there. But you can also put it on a bookshelf. I would probably recommend separating them so that the petals aren't holding up the base, if that makes sense. And you could squish them in a little thing on your shelf, so it's more like a little book. So but yeah, it does have a footprint, but again, you're not dealing with that hinge. So when you open it, this just stays right in place. You don't have to put it anywhere. You can just put it right back down, which I should probably clean mine and put my flower away before I lose it. For the Misty, I did purchase the waffle flower stick mat because I was so in love with this stick mat, and the waffle flower stick mat is just as good, in my opinion, for the Misty.
Interesting.
Which I do. Let me actually find my Misty. I bought the wrong size, but it still works for me. So I have the waffle flower in here. I have the grid on the back. It actually needs clean. That's why it's not like sticking in here, but it does hold the papers, and it comes with a nice grid and stuff, so you can stamp and not have to worry about shoving it in the corner. So you can have stamps off there, and then again, it peels right nicely.
Oh, that's cool.
And I keep mine protected. I have a piece of acetate for helping align things too.
Oh, I've seen people do that where you can kind of use that as like a test before you actually stamp stuff.
Right, especially if you want like one stamp sitting on top of another and you want it more perfect. You can stamp it on acetate, adjust your stamp until you get it just right, and then slam her down. Lemon squeezy. Let's see. Handcrafted by God says, "Oh, it's expensive. I sold my soul for that wheel."
Shiny. See, I don't know if it's really that. I mean, now that like the Misty, a standard Misty and a grip mat is kind of almost the same price, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. Especially the bigger Misty. I saw Simon Hurley actually used it on a card, and it looked well cool. Yes.
It is nice for stenciling. You're quite right.
Linda Gorman, yes, shiny side down for the Simon Hurley stencils. T confirmed it for us. But if you guys, I have Simon Hurley stencils that I forgot to put shiny side down, and all that happens, and I'll show you because it doesn't hurt my feelings.
I mean, they get translucent, right? It just kind of rips off
the
coating.
What happens is, there we go. It peels the coating off. So there's the coating. And here's, let's see if we can't see it. So it just peels the coating. So technically it disfigures your stamp. I'm not going to say it ruins it because you can still use this that way. And if you get the residue, all you got to do, my friends, is give it a squeeze of water and give it a little scrubby dubby. Oops, squeaky. But in there, it's gone. It's gone. You can take it to the sink and wash it off. And it's good to use all over again.
That is. And it's kind of, it's not staining with ink, which I enjoy a lot.
Right. Your red inks will probably stain it first.
Well, the Catherine Pooler ones will, because they stain everything and it's dog. but
Simon Hurley's have not stained as far as I've come across. And that one's pretty red. That is the Game Over one.
Are you helping?
We'll
have a helper.
We'll do a cleanup with that. Why not? Because you can also, by the way, do that. So if you've got ink all over your thing and you want to do a cleanup, you can totally do that. You can pick all the inks up.
Well, it's pretty neat because once you pick up the stamp, you can actually like compare it with where the X is on this thing.
Yes.
Which I like quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to use it. We just did two. We did a wreath build and then we did stenciling. I just did a cleanup. So if you want to do ink smushing, you can use it as a smusher thing if you want. Let's see. There was something. I meant I should try to use the waffle flower stick mat on the stamp wheel. I just use it for the Missy.
Oh yeah, Lala appreciates our pain when it comes to the reds.
It stains. Okay, and then yes, and then alcohol markers. So mine seep through my coloring. So I had stamped my Easter eggs and bunnies, and then they were stamped, and I colored right on here, and it siphoned the color right through the back of the paper, and it stained mine. So that is one thing I will never do again. But yeah, Simon's Reds, I used Love Struck and Game Over, and they cleaned right out of there. No red residue. But here's another thing you can do with your stamp wheel. This I love. This I love because I love these big old stamps. So I'm going to leave the stick mat in there. I'm going to put my piece of paper in there however I want. And then I'm going to grab a big red rubber stamp.
Oh, you can use red rubber in it?
You betcha. I'm going to show you how. So
that's cool.
It's a little bit different, but if you've done the locking where you've put your base plate in the locking corners before you set it down, you can set it down and pick up your stamp. Okay. So I've got my stamp the way I want it. I'm going to do a purposeful misinking. Okay. So I'm going to lightly ink this with the Love Struck. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to lock it into place. So it's not touching at all. I'm just locking it in at an angle. I want to make sure that's good before I head down. Then I'm going to press it down. Okay. Then we're going to lift. Now you can see I missed. I missed on purpose, you guys. So I can show you how we can get a perfect stamping. So I'm going to flip this back over. I'm going to go in again. Let me go in with some bee sting this time. I'm going to rub on some bee sting, layer up my different reds. Get that in there. And then we're going to flip it. Going to lock it into place. And then I'm going to set it down. Jay, tell me about your centering tool. That is a question from T.
So these things are basically made out of stencil material, and they come in 4 sizes, basically 3 squares, and then this is an A2. So you just put it down in the corner, and then you just line up your paper with it, and you're pretty much good to go, and it will put whatever size paper it's supposed to go with. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera well, but there's actually etchings on this thing. Oh, you can kind of see it, where it tells you what size it is. I suspect after this live, I'm going to come through and just use Sharpie on these because it's me. And I probably will forget to read which size it is and put it in, but they're pretty neat. I would think I forget if it was on the live or before the live, I was chatting with Elizabeth about it, and it's like, well, you could kind of make your own pretty easily, but the fact that they come pre-done is nice as well.
Right.
But I'm actually using my thing, so that's always a good thing.
And if your stencil has an etched number in it, I took some alcohol ink and dripped it into the etching so that I could see my numbers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I took a teeny weeny because water won't make it go away. So I just stamped this 3 times in order to get a perfect stamping. Although don't look at the blemishes. My ink pad is kind of fuzzy. But so say like right here, this one is not a perfect coloring. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink that up again. And we're just going to ink her up. So this will be the 4th time I'm inking this up. I'm going to flip her around.
Oh, that's one of those. That's the Simon Hurley one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I was like, I think I remember. I think I own that.
And then that is a 4th stamping. But you see, we've been able to, oh gosh, I really need to clean that ink pad. It's got massive fuzzies. Just pluck that off. But we can re-stamp it several times if we just remember to lock it, then lay it down. And you'll get your perfect stamping. And then when you're all done, you peel. And then this is the nice thing about it. If you have your placement and everything, so if I had like the alignment guide, I could do this easy, but I have this, the leftover inking. So I could set this right back in here. Say like I need to make like 10 cards.
Yeah, it seems like it would be really nice for like mass producing layered stamp ephemera stuff if you wanted to just do like some rows or whatever a whole bunch of times and then cut it out.
Okay. Yes. And then here I made a mistake. I did not lock this corner. This corner is actually sitting on top, so this is not sitting in there properly. So we're going to flip this over and we're going to do that again. And we just need to make sure we lock it into place. Set it down, lock it, and then press. And then we've got number 2 done. Just like so. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So you can use it for your big red rubber stamps as long as it doesn't go over, of course. Let me clean this again. Once you flip it, the lid over, your paper or anything underneath is safe. You can just squeeze your water on and give a wipe. Boop, boop, boop. And our little guy is all nice and clean. And then we can clean our little mat. All we need is some water. If you have some really sticky ink, you can use your StazOn cleaner or your rubber stamp. Anything you use on your rubber stamps, you can use on your big old rubber stamp. So you can do that. So there's that. It's all nice and clean. Cordelia got the straight grid lines top for the stamp wheel.
Oh, how do you like it? I thought that was kind of an interesting idea.
Okay, so
it is, Dawn. It's like oddly relaxing, because you just sort of flip and ink it, and.
Yes. So there is a good question out there. Crystal Creations Wyckoff noticed that yours has grid lines underneath yours and mine does not. Because the stamp wheel, my friends, does come with the grid lines, but I'm not a gritty kind of person, so I just disposed of my grid lines, whereas Jay put the little plastic piece underneath.
Yeah, when you buy the sticky mat, one of the pieces of acetate has these grid lines, and it covers the whole stamp. So I'll show you once I finish this one, but some creator, I think it was JC Gaspar, had the idea of like just cut an inch around, because this thing is a huge photopolymer stamp, so it's not going to move around very much, because the backside, like this side is textured, but the backside is totally like flat, like the back of a photopolymer stamp. So I don't know. It's kind of neat, but I found I haven't used it at all, because like if I'm doing layered stamping, I usually put it in the corner. Anyway, sorry, Elizabeth, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's interesting though. You're saying that you have the textury piece up and the see
and
mine
the flat piece down.
I have mine reverse. I have the textury
interesting.
feet. I have the textury feet down so that it's easier to pull out of the stamp wheel.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
So there's no right or wrong way, because it's obviously working for you too.
Yeah, the only difficulty I had is like I feel like the 6x6 stencils hold in here way better.
Yeah.
But obviously if you had it flipped, you'd have more grippiness.
Yes. And
so that's sort of they make two or three stickiness levels. The one that came with my stamp wheel is like the ultra super sticky one. So anyway, I think that's the one that sort of comes default with all of them.
So T says they prevent it from sticking to the bottom. So the grid lines. So yeah. So since I don't have the grid lines, I just flip mine over. And I like having this big smooth area. It's much easier to clean. T says Jay's having too much fun because it's so easy, you guys. So easy.
It's really relaxing, and usually like any kind of layered stamping I've ever done, like you get stressed out because you're like, oh my God, this thing is gonna like get messed up at like step 6, and then it's gonna be not much you can do with it. But yeah, this is actually like I could see like, popping on a live stream and just making a whole bunch of holiday wreaths and just having fun with it. And I guess the other thing I should mention is I specifically grabbed stamp sets that aren't designed to make wreaths with, because I
Right.
was curious how well it would work. Because obviously you can buy, a bunch of people make like the actual things designed to make wreaths, but I've been having a lot of fun with some of these other things. Plus, it's sort of I can use my stuff, which is sometimes a challenge.
Right. So another thing, we all have some stencils and stuff out there that are just ginormous. If you remove your stick
Yep.
mat, or maybe like I said, if you're a big stencil person, even now they have a bigger version of this. You can take your stencils and let me put this one right here on the edge, and I'm just going to secure that there. I'm going to take, where's my sidewalk chalk?
Since it's here.
Now I am using a finger to hold. I probably don't need to, but there's less area gripped because I don't have this side pinned down to the mat. So.
Oh, that's really neat.
You just pop that in. So I need number 2. Flip it over.
I never really thought of that as like a use, that you could just use the sticky mat as a sticky mat.
How did I have that in there? Is that right? What did I do? Okay, so that goes. Let's put it this way. I'm going to put these stencils together and kind of get where that goes. There. So I just used my other stencil to help me figure out where this one went, because I'm a genius sometimes. Release. And we're going to set that down. And this one is our greens. So, you know what? I'm going to stick with the Minty Fresh and what's his face? Sidewalk chalk, because I already have them out. If you're worried about going off, you can still tape off your work or put a piece of paper there so you don't accidentally get ink on the paper.
Oh yeah, someone said that was sort of a pro of using these sticky mats for, especially like stenciling, is that, you don't have to worry about like wrecking the back. Well, especially if you're stenciling on like a card base, that you don't have to worry about wrecking the back of your card as much.
Right.
That is.
And that
really
is
cool.
100% true, because you can just plop it down and it's not going to go scooching around your table collecting all that ink. So I'm going to go with the same Minty Fresh. I'm just going to go heavier handed on this third layer. And we have just, we just finished another background. Woo! You guys,
Wow.
that is Sidewalk Chalk and Minty Fresh. If you guys have the Simon Hurley inks. So those 2 colors. And that just made a beautiful, beautiful color.
Oh, wow. I like that sidewalk chalk. That's a really that's a nice light pink.
Yeah, I actually store it with my purples, because in person, to me, it has more of a purple tint. So I've got it with my Crown Me and Triple Berry. So that's where
that
I
makes sense.
store mine because there is a beautiful pink, and so I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little bit purple.
Oh yeah,
versus the pink.
yeah. You can see it in contrast to the piggyback.
But
Piggyback, I guess.
yep, piggyback. But we've been here an hour, and I've made. Let me get all my stuff. Let me get my stuff. Where's the other one at? I did a cleanup. Did that one?
Yeah, you're good about doing those cleanup things. I'm more of a just clean it up.
Yeah, and there's
But
nothing
it
wrong
seems
with
like you
that.
get no, I mean it just seems like you get a lot of extra use out of it that I never really thought of as a thing, you know, like you get sort of extras.
You do. And like, this could be a background for something or die cuts.
Yep.
But so our first card, our stencil, our stamping with red rubber stamps, and then another stencil. This one was a 2-layer stencil, a 3-layer stencil, rubber stamp, and then 2 sets of flowers. So this flower is from they're both from scrapbook.com, but this is from one stamp set and this is from another stamp set. And again, the alignment guide, if you were to purchase or make one, would get you more centered like Jay's was. Mine is off-centered, but again, I'll show you. It doesn't bother me because I can go right in here and go, yeah, that's going to be probably a little over 3 3/4. So that means we're going to go 3 3/4. That would be 5, right? Yes. So just a little over 5. And there we have it. So I actually straightened out my wreath.
Ooh. Oh, that's really nice.
Looks really good. Let me just glue that together.
I really like it matted on the black. That's super neat.
Should probably grab a black card base because that is put it on a nice black card base. And as quick as we got the wreath done, you could hammer out a whole set of these hecka easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure once you get the flow of it, right? Like you could just keep making them.
Yeah. Maddie, the empty nest scrapper.
Hello, empty nest.
Okay. Is there any questions out there?
Oh, you got the Switch tea? Sorry, I'm distracted by chat. Yes, if you have any real questions, feel free to throw them in.
And what is the Switch?
I thought it was one of the electric Sizzix die cutters.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they gave one away at my crop. Well, not really gave one, raffled one away because they're, I think, a bit spendy.
Why don't you go ahead and zoom yourself? I want to see what you're doing, mister.
Oh, sure. So I'm using all sorts of stamps that I haven't touched and have owned for a long time. So these were actually from, and I dropped a flashlight on the ground. These are MFT stamps. These were, I don't know what it says. Anyway, they were in like a 80s cassette tape card kit. But so I used the center one to just do a bullseye, and I'm gonna go around it with a bunch of triangles. But before that, this was the panel that I stenciled, which worked out nicely. This is a Spellbinders geometric something stencil I've been liking a lot. I did it with lunar paste too. I like it, I think, better with lunar paste, but with the I like how you can get sort of these funky, like not fully saturated things. Like I think this will work really nicely as sort of a background. But this was the first wreath I did, except it's upside down, and I just ink edged around it a little bit. But I have my little mint leaves, and my little lemons. I really like how this one came out.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
really
think that's
nice.
I think this is like I'm bad at doing clean and simple, but I feel like this is like a clean and simple card. Just stick it on a nice
Yes,
card base, and
very good.
then I was playing around with a B stamp set I got in some swap or other, and then decided I was going to just edge the whole thing in lunar paste because look how shiny. And it's
Yes.
upside down again. But this is still drying, but once it's dry, I mean, I think this will look really good on yellow or black. I just sort of used the lunar paste in my finger to do sort of a pretty loose hexagon. But I liked how this one came out as well.
Yes.
I think you can. I really like the fact that like the non wreath building stencils like stamp sets work just as well. I think that's pretty cool because like then you can kind of look for stamp sets that have sort of elements like that. I mean, like this one, it's got a bunch of like little triangles and squares and whatnot. But I mean, like especially the geometric ones, you can start building some pretty interesting mandalas. I think pretty easily
Yes.
if that's your thing. But those are the ones that, yeah. So I guess this is number 4, number 4, and wreath number 3. I'm surprised. I really like how chill making wreaths is basically, and it surprises me because it's the kind of thing I would normally get like a bit stressed out over because it's like, oh my god, you're gonna get to like stamp number 20 and then do an oopsie, and I don't know.
Yeah, and
But most
it's
of this stuff, like you could even like if you didn't use words in the center, like if you left the center open, like these you could also just cut up and use a part of it as well.
yes. And the nice thing is there's not a lot of chance to make an oopsie because unless of course you don't put the lid on right, but you can totally just restamp it or scooch it along. Hope that makes sense.
It does.
And another thing about the stamp wheel is it doesn't have to be round. You can do, well, I'm doing plaid. This one is the pinstripes, not the plaid builder. The plaid builder is really nice too, but this one's pinstripes.
Oh, I guess that makes sense because you could just flip it. I mean, you could use like any multiple, whatever. I guess there are 32 petals on it, so like you could do 2 or 4 or 8 or other things that aren't inherently,
Right.
like you could just sort of invert the same design.
And again, these are the
to.
red rubber ones. Ooh, and this is what is this? This is Twisted Citron Oxide on black.
Ooh.
Because yeah, that's fun. I
It
don't know.
is one of my favorite colors.
Yes. So yeah, you can make plaid if you have a straight, and like on Jay's little stamp set, he's got like a little patch of zigzags. He could easily make a little zigzag square with that. Maybe frame something on his
Oh, that's a good idea.
stuff. But yeah, so if we put our cover back over and then hit it with water, remember that's not going to affect our paper underneath. And I just made another background that much quicker, you guys. Just slap those lines on. Because being able to turn it, and then unlike the Misty, right? If I wanted to do this in the Misty, I'd have to peel it, stick it, peel it, stick it. Whereas this, I just lift, twist, and flip.
I do like if you accidentally pull your paper up, like the guides make it pretty easy to get it back together, which was always something of a struggle for me with the door systems, where it's like, well, if you pull the paper, like how out of whack is your magnet? Who knows?
Right.
It's a mystery.
And before the waffle flower, that's how I was with my Misty. It was like, man,
Oh, okay.
I just moved it and bumped it, and it's all out of whack. So yeah, but there it is, a nice piece of plaid.
Oh, it's cool.
I really like that.
And you said that's not the plaid builder, that's the pinstripe one?
This is the pinstripes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking for plaid builder, but I'm thinking I didn't put it away like I should have, because it's not where it's supposed to be. Oh yeah, it's sitting right there because
it's somewhere smart, I'm sure.
Yeah, right next to me under the stuff I want to make a video with.
Oh, okay. Well, you know.
And oxides, just like the regular inks, clean up really nicely. Oh, do I have a little die cut? Yes, I do. I have. Where are my little hexagons? And here's another thing. With all the stick mats, the waffle flower, the stamp wheel one, say like you're making die cuts and you're like, oh, I should have inked that up. You can put your little die cuts on the stick mat. Okay.
Oh.
On the stick mat. Grab your inky tool. Grab your color. Let's grab a yellow for yellow. And you can ink right on the mat. And those little boogers are not going to go anywhere. And you can ink all of your, there's so many things you can do with your stick mats. So, and like I said, if you didn't have the stamp wheel itself, right, you just buy the stick mat, you just slap that sucker on your table. I would recommend putting the waffle side down so that it doesn't stick to your table too bad. But then you can just press those on there however you like, and then ink them up. So yeah, there's lots of fun uses with your little mats.
That's kind of an interesting little wonky thing that just happened. I don't hate it. Well, like, wherever you get. Now that I'm cleaning them off, but like I didn't have the triangles like actually lined up. Oh, sorry, you can't see.
Yeah, God, zoom you so we can see. I'm all trying to look at my screen like.
So it's not identical, but it still has like kind of an 80s wonky vibe. So I kind of like it.
Oh yeah, I remember like, those shirts.
Well, I feel like you could put like a kit. Like I feel like this would be really nice if you put like, you know, a character of some sort in front of it, right?
Right.
But you didn't. You always think of like, well, you see people sort of demo the wreaths as like, you know, like a focal point, but you like they seem to have a lot of usefulness as like backgrounds too.
Yes, and you can do half wreaths too. So if you want to put like a word through the center, let's do that real quick. That shouldn't take too long. We're gonna drop our paper in the center. We're gonna do a thanks across the center because I'm an eyeballer. I'm just gonna eyeball it, you guys.
That's how people. Well, I don't know. I like the eyeballing look. Plus, I do it all the time because it's sort of like people know it's handmade that then.
Yep. And then I'm gonna do minty fresh because it's just a minty fresh.
It's kind of hard to overstamp in this too.
T is on her way out. Maddie, the emptiness scrapper. Both you guys, thank you for joining us today. Thank you those that are just popping in. If you're interested in all the fun things that we've done, be sure to come back and watch the beginning of the video. Why is that not inking up? Let's get that going. But yes, and you guys, if you like Jay's content, be sure to subscribe and do all the fun things, you guys, so that you get all the notifications. Okay, so I got my thanks in there. And then I'm going to grab my flowers from the other set. I'm actually going to do this butterfly. You know that? Let's get the butterfly in there.
I'm stealing your idea. I kind of like it.
Put that up there. Yes.
Just to do some like fun little frame things with some of these wonky squigglies.
Wonky squigglies. We're going to do triple berry butterfly. Press. Okay, that is not going to be in the center. I think it'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Okay.
And I dyed my hands blue again. It's a pretty common occurrence.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy enough to do.
I'm more surprised that like no one at work has ever like asked me why my hands were some like really weird color, you know. Like I feel like I would be at least kind of curious about that. But I do like that's a good idea to use. Just like you could do this with any kind of border stamp too, to just sort of make a I mean, obviously you could have like a box thing, like you could have continued it. Where is it? In my other pile, but like the Simon Hurley birthday set, I think I have like that's got like whatever you want to call it, like a pennant dot, like not a die, but like a pennant stamp. So you could do that, do like pennants for like birthday stuff or something.
Yeah.
That is why have I never used this stamp set? This is a fun stamp set. I'm so bad at using my things. It's unbelievable sometimes.
It happens.
Well, it gets put somewhere intelligent and then you forget about it for a year. And then you're like, I've been on kind of a spring cleaning moment lately. And it's just sort of like, oh, I remember buying that. That was really cool when that release happened, like in 2023, 2022. And you're like, how much money did I spend to have it like hang out?
Yep, heaven knows I spent enough.
Well, I don't know. You've been really successful on your no buy.
This year, yes. Last year there was no hope for me. No hope whatsoever. Last year I spent so much money and I'm still got stuff that I haven't used completely. So yeah. But I do feel successful this year. I've only bought a couple little things. Nothing too drastic.
I keep thinking I'm running out of white cardstock and then find another package of white cardstock.
Yeah, I'm unfortunate. I'm not running low on any of my paper yet.
I always find that weird, like, I don't know. I own too much Michael's colored cardstock, but it's like whenever I need a specific color, I'm like, I need to go to Michael's and buy that. I don't have it somehow in all the plethora of like things I have.
Yeah. So here's this one. So you don't have to make a complete wreath. You can do the tops and the
Ooh.
bottoms. Now, mine is not centered because I did eyeballing, but if you had everything centered, you could totally do the half a wreath, so that you get all the fun stuff going on. But yeah, so lots of different ways to use. Susan Trimper's been lurking. We like the lurkers.
That's fine.
Fabulous. All right. I'm not seeing any questions though, so that's fabulous.
No, people are just chatting amongst themselves. It's cute. Oh, Lala said that she let you this combination of shapes. Yeah, this is, I don't know, it's kind of, it's neat. I mean, you could do like a full on mandala if you wanted to, I think. Especially if you're got better at lining things up than I was, but like you could do a lot of interesting things. And I think if you did them in like, well, these were relatively muted colors. I mean, if you didn't do them in like neon 80s colors, I think they would look pretty chill.
Yep. Chili beans. So it is 8:17. Oops. Actually did quite a bit.
Yeah, let me throw you on screen and you can.
Minty
I don't think you showed
combo.
off your thanks. Wow. Look at all that stuff.
Yes. And of course, I accidentally put this piece next to this piece, and this piece was still wet, so this got a little damp. But that minty fresh, man, and that sidewalk chalk are a good combo. I think it just gives a nice little color. And then showing that you can use straight lines in there too. You don't have to make round objects. You can use straight lines. Double stencil, triple stencil, and this stencil went way beyond, so we just took out our mat, because that you don't even have to have this when you're doing your stencils. Just pull out your little mat, and then big thick red rubber stamps you can use in your thing and stamp multiple times. Hopefully you can see this one I stamped about 4 times, and this one I only stamped once.
And you wouldn't really know it to look at them. I mean, it doesn't look like multiple stampings, really, at least from here.
But you can get a nice rich color if your inks are like the Simon Hurley's, where layering them up gives a much bolder color. So yeah, I like that it does allow you to restamp without a halo or anything like that.
Yeah, that is nice.
But yes. Yeah, I think a lot. Crystal says that the Prisma alcohol markers, the lids were hard to pull off. I think all alcohol markers, the lids are hard to pull off. You got to keep that alcohol from drying out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of one that was like easy. But I mean, I don't know. Like, they're not the worst thing in the world, but
right. All right.
Sometimes a little.
Is there any questions that you have, Jay, or?
I don't think so. It was just fun to like play with somebody else who had the stamp wheel and to kind of get me into using it some more. But no, I think it's really neat. I mean, I think I'm going to get a lot more use out of the wreath element than I thought I would. Because, I owned a template for making wreaths for my Misty that I didn't use in 2 years. So, but I feel like this is a lot more like accessible because, because of the wheel thing, it's all sort of built in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a greater ease being able to just lift and flip that lid. in my opinion.
Yeah,
But, you know,
I agree. I mean, I think
yeah,
it just makes it. I mean, I think there's also like I don't know. I'm lazy, so like the fact that it's just sort of there is also nice.
that is true. And I find that I actually use my stamp wheel more than I use my Misty. So, and I don't,
Yeah, I could see the benefit of having like something that's sort of like block sized just to do like, your one-off sentiments. But I
yeah,
mean, like I feel like whatever you had at hand, like I mean, to me this doesn't take up that much more space than a full-size Misty.
yeah.
So I mean, and it does a lot more stuff. So I mean, I don't know. I think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of it.
And like I said, you can just stand it on in and put it in there. It on a shelf or whatever. I just have mine sitting right next to me. I have a lot of space between my printer and if I ever clean my area, I do have space on my desk. I do have a home for it on my desk, but it's currently packed. So it's on my printer now because I'm asleep.
But I don't know. I guess we can wrap up. I don't know if you want to run through. I guess you just ran through all your cards, but feel free to do it again if you want.
We used two flower sets, the flowers from different sets, the little fox guy, big red rubber stamps. Don't have to do a full wreath, although lining up. If I took my time, I could have repositioned and lined things up a lot better. But stenciling, I love stenciling. It makes stenciling a whirl. If you guys go back and watch, I had this done in seconds. It didn't take long at all to do either of these stencils. And this was a 3-layer stencil and this was a 2-layer stencil. And they just whipped right out. And then, of course, regular stamping with a nice big fat red rubber stamp. You can do it with with the Altenew stamp wheel. So lots of benefits in my opinion. Maybe you don't like the whole idea of wreaths at all, but the stick mat, like I said, for stenciling and whatnot is very beneficial, especially if you need to ink up little bitty things. Like we inked up our little guys with ease, just putting it on the stick mat.
Sweet. I guess I'll run through the ones I did. I will show you one card I didn't make tonight, just from a layered stamp perspective. Like you can, these are identical, but I did these with all the stamps on the stamp wheel. So you can basically load up the stamp wheel with like a 3 or 4 or 6 layer stamp or whatever. And then you can just run through it. So I think I'm
Yep.
going to use this a ton just for like, I want to make ephemera because I want to do coffee or I want to do flowers or spring or pumpkins or whatever, where you could just go through and make a ton of it. Um, this was the first one when Elizabeth was teaching us how to wreath. This is from the same set as the pandas, which is "You Are My Bestie." So I have my little mint leaves and lemons, and then I just ink blended a little around the edge.
That's so cute.
And then I like that's not, I think that might be my favorite. The one I think that's my favorite or one of these other ones. And then I was just playing around with stenciling. I think that you're right that it's probably easier to do stencils if you just pull the sticky mat out. But I mean, I feel like I'm much more like I feel like you have a lot more like confidence to like hand free stencil,
Hmm.
especially if you use the flat side where you get a lot of contact with your stencils.
Right.
Then I used a B set I've never used that I got in something or another. And I just edged the edge with a little bit of solar paste. But I had fun kind of doing this, and this is now right side up. But I think this will be would be really cool if you sort of matted it, like put it on a black card base, because then
Oh
you'd have
yeah.
like the black and gold with the like B vibes.
Yep.
And I was curious, so I explicitly used this ginger ink because it stains everything. Because Catherine Pooler Red stains everything. Um, but it cleaned off of the stamp wheel just fine. So
That's
I'm
good.
pretty impressed with that. I think it'll be very hard to now you can buy replacement ones, obviously, but like I'm pretty impressed that it will be relatively hard to screw it up. And then I like this one too. This was just sort of random
Yes.
geometric shapes, but I think this will be fun. Like if you put, I think this will be fun to put some kind of scene in front of. Or I guess you could use it in either orientation and just
Mhm.
throw a big word on it too.
Oh, that would be fun.
Like a big thanks, or
And
I think I have
awesome.
I have an awesome. I think I have a you got this. I have like these really big with shadow layer, like just words of encouragement. So I don't know. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming. I definitely appreciate it. When are you going to be next live, Elizabeth?
Live Monday, pattern paper Monday, and then Wednesday, both at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Cool.
So yeah, Monday and Wednesday.
And I'll say we have a number of friends who stream, so there are links to most of them in the description of this video. I typically stream Sundays at the same time, actually, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.